Honda generator partial resto. In the last video you saw me strip it down. In between that video and this video I have tried to straighten up the panels as much as possible, gave them a sand down and a bit of a paint, and done a couple of other things. I'll give you a quick look around and show you what I've done. Here's the generator here, all painted up. If you remember from the last video, there was a pretty big dent down the bottom here, heap of scratches on the top cover, a number of scratches on the sides. There was a pretty big dent in that corner there as well. And coming around to the outlet side, there was a pretty big dent in there as well. The handle was pretty bent up. Managed to straighten that up. Not perfect, but it'll do the job. I've given the control panel just a quick clean over. I swapped out one of the 10 amp outlets for an outdoor 15 amp outlet. The circuit breaker there's a 20 amp circuit breaker, so should be able to run something like a welder or a large air compressor or something like that, but we'll try that out a bit later. Underneath, in the engine bay, I suppose you'd call it, a new oil filter, brand new battery. I've also fitted a battery isolator switch, so when I'm not using the generator, just take the switch out, and so it doesn't drain the battery. Put on a bit of stainless steel braided wire just so I don't lose the switch. Simply pops into the on position. When I'm not using it, I can either leave it off or take it out completely. Sits nicely in there. I've also done the same thing with the starter key, bit of stainless steel braided wire so I don't lose the key. Fits in there nicely, and again, when it's not in use, just tuck it under there and close up the cover. I've also changed the oil as well, flushed the engine oil out, because that was, I'd say, the original engine oil. I flushed all that out, new oil in there, done a coolant flush, drained all the old coolant out, flushed out the coolant system and the radiator, and put some new coolant in it. So that's all good. What else have I done? That's pretty much it. I've still got to get some new grips. The old ones are pretty ratty and I don't really want to put them back on. So this thing's pretty much done, aside from the grips and one more thing. The last thing I've got to do is put a warning sticker back on it. I couldn't find all the original stickers for the generator, but I'm not overly fussed with that. I don't really care to have it covered with stickers, but definitely need the one final warning sticker. Some people would say that would include me, but who cares? It's my generator, so I'm going to use it anyway. What I'll do now is I'll take it outside, start it up, and I'm going to run it through a test with an angle grinder and the welder to see how it goes. Righto, I've got myself set up, got angle grinder and my welder, and they're both going to run off the generator here. I'll try to anyway, see what happens. I'll put the oscillation switch in, turn it on, ignition switch in, fuel on, close the choke and cross our fingers. Seems to work as well. I'll just close the door to cut out a bit of the noise from the generator. Right, we'll try the handle grinder first. Well, that worked well enough. We'll try the welder now. The welder's turned on, so I will my size 0.9. That's just a basic setting for this MIG, so I think I'll just leave it there and see what happens. I'm just going to basically do a butt weld, just a short piece. This is only a bit of scrap metal, so not welding kilometres or anything like that. Just do a short weld just to see how it goes. Well, that didn't work too well. Stalled out the generator. Alright, generator started again. Take two. that test seemed to go okay with the angle grinder. No issues with the generator using the angle grinder, but the welder on the other hand, the generator stalled out the first time, got it going again. Second time, I noticed the automatic throttle on the generator, which is this solenoid in conjunction with this little vacuum diaphragm thingo, which is connected to the carby underneath there. That's not actually functioning properly. So what is basically happening is the engine is staying at high revs at all time. The automatic throttle, what that's supposed to do is when there's no load on the generator, drops the engine down to an idle to, I think, essentially save fuel or something like that. But because it's revving out all the time, that's no real issue. It's actually good if I'm using things like a welder or an angle grinder or something like that that use high current when they start up, so that's no real issue there. The only issue I did have was with the welder. I think because it's just a cheap Chinese welder, technology in it is not very good. The size of the welder is 210, so I think the welder might be a little bit too big for the generator. It did seem to weld fine. These were the welds, the first initial welds, so they're not too bad for a generator. They were, because the generator was surging quite a bit, the power fluctuations was affecting the weld. Once I played around with the welder settings a little bit, the welds started getting a little bit better, but still not very good. But I think in a pinch, that'd be fine. Just to, power goes out and I need to use a welder for something, I don't know. It should do, but I might actually get a better quality welder, but a smaller one, so maybe a 175 or 170 or 180 or something like that. Something that draws a little bit less power and hopefully gets the same result out of the weld. And that way I don't think there'll be too much of an issue with the generator surging as much as it was with my current welder. So basically, in conclusion, I think I pretty much got this generator for nothing. With the battery isolation switch, oil filter, oil, radiator flush, coolant, paint, I think I probably spent about $250 on this. So, considering the age of the welder, as I said, it's the age of the generator, which is approximately 20 odd years old. It still runs really well. The oil had the original oil and the original filter in it. Once I drained that, it was looking pretty black, but when I put in the fresh oil, I checked it again and seems to be fine. It's still nice and clear, so hopefully I'll get another 20 years out of it. And it'll be, as I said, it'll be handy when we get blackouts here in Adelaide. Keep the fridges running and charge our phones, I suppose. So, but yeah, I think I hit on a bit of a winner there with the generator. Put a bit of work into it, and I reckon it's come up pretty good. So yeah, all right. Well, that's enough for me. Thanks for watching.